An intense language war is brewing between the center and the Tamil Nadu government over the implementation of National Education Policy 2020 and the contentious three language formula. The Tamil Nadu government has been opposing the policy, alleging that the BJP led government at the center is trying to impose Hindi in the state in the guise of NEP 2020. This is not the first time that Tamil Nadu government has been opposing the trilingual policy, which dates back to 1968, as it has been alleging that it will impose Hindi in its states. Again, the Tamil Nadu government is alleging that through NEP government is trying to do the same. Hello and welcome to The Print. This is Fareeha Iftikhar, and today we have with us two distinguished guests, Mr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, who is the member of BJP's National Executive Council and former member of Rajya Sabha, and Mr. Yogendra Yadav, who is a political activist and national president of Swaraj India. Welcome to The Print, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. And today we will discuss with them both the contentious three language formula, its implementation across states, and the ongoing controversy between the Tamil Nadu government and the center on its implementation. First of all, my question is for you, Yogendra Yadav, sir. Sir, could you please take our viewers to the core of this three language formula and what, according to you, and how, according to you, it has been implemented so far in India across the states?
The three language formula is a formula about education, primarily about school education. After independence, educationists in this country, beginning with Dr. Radhakrishnan, when he was not the president, thought deeply about this question. What should be the language policy? There were those who said Hindi as a national language, which our Constitutional Assembly rejected. There were those who wanted only English, which of course our freedom struggle rejected. And then came this three language formula, which is the formula for teaching of multiple languages, because that's what they wanted to promote. We are a multilingual country. And all the educationist pedagogue came to this conclusion that it would be good if we teach every child three languages. Which three languages? One was the official language. Implicitly, it meant Hindi. Second was a foreign language. Implicitly, it meant English. And the third was a regional language. In fact, the regional language came first. The trouble is, what do you do in those states where Hindi is the regional language? Does it become only two language formula? No. The three language formula said Hindi speaking state should teach a different third modern Indian language, preferably a South Indian language. This is how it was written. In reality, however, the entire thing has been sabotaged. And I must say, as someone coming from North India, as a Hindi speaker, I feel sorry to say that actually Hindi states were the one who started sabotaging it. They found Sanskrit as a solution. Now, no one can have any problem with children being taught Sanskrit as a classical language. But what was being done was, in order to evade the necessity of teaching a third language, and in order not to teach any South Indian language, all these states said, okay, our third language is Sanskrit. And as anyone who's gone to Indian schools knows, the teaching of Sanskrit has unfortunately become a joke. So in the North Indian states, they do not learn a new script because Sanskrit has the same script, Devanagari, and they do not learn Sanskrit either. So effectively what it meant was that for Hindi-speaking states, it was a two-language formula. For non-Hindi speakers, it became a three-language formula. They had to learn my mother tongue, but I was not required to learn their mother tongue. This led to resentment. Tamil Nadu was the first state to protest. They protested way back in 1970. They said, we will have two-language formula. We will not take third language. The center accepted because there was a political wisdom that you don't enforce these things. And that's how it continued. The new education policy on paper simply repeats what has always been the case. There's nothing new that they are saying. In all fairness, the new education policy actually dilutes it. They say any three languages, they don't even mention English or Hindi. Any three languages, provided two of them are languages indigenous to India. Fair enough. But in reality, what's happening? What's happening is that the central education minister, Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan, has blocked grant, substantial grant of more than 2,000 crore rupees to Tamil Nadu on education to say, unless you agree with NEP, unless you follow the three language formula, we would not do it. Now, anyone who has any political sense knows that saying this to Tamil Nadu is to show a red rag to a bull. This is inviting trouble. Tamil Nadu has always rejected it. And if you see it in the context of the politics of Tamil Nadu right now, where the governor is virtually acting as the representative of the BJP. I mean, he should be invited on the national executive of the BJP. Every day he issues statements threatening the government, preaching them, taking a stand different, walking away from the assembly in his own lecture, in his own address. Now, in this context, obviously, Tamil Nadu is enraged. They are saying, okay, this is how you want to do language politics. Then they hit back. And as a result, sadly, I'm very sad at it because someone like me who thinks three language formula is a good pedagogical principle, someone like me who stands for Indian languages, because of the stand taken by the BJP government now, it has hurt the cause of three language formula. It has hurt the cause of Indian languages, and it has hurt the cause of Hindi, because Hindi then becomes villain of the piece. So, as someone who believes in Hindi, in Indian languages, in the sisterhood of all Indian languages, I really feel offended because I think the step of the government has hurt Hindi, it has hurt Indian languages, and it has hurt India.
I would come to Sahasrabuddhe sir now. Sir, what is your opinion on this ongoing controversy? Sir, NEP nowhere mentions imposition of any language, neither Hindi or any other language. Why do you think this language imposition argument has come from?
See, Mr. Yogendra Yadav would like us to believe in a particular way, but the fact remains that Tamil Nadu is facing a tough assembly election in a year's time. And therefore, on the issue of language also, some kind of a petty politics is being played, which is very obvious and to a certain extent understandable also, because this is the season and people try to win the hearts of the people through such emotive issues, and there is a history to that as well. But what Mr. Yadav wants us to believe that in the north, for example, he made a very generalized kind of a statement that Sanskrit is not being taught properly and it is just a facade and no serious training of Sanskrit is happening. I believe it's too much of a generalization. So that is not the fact. There are many Sanskrit teachers in the schools in North India. That is number one. Number two is that while the argument certainly is very logical that in the three language formula, you are supposed to understand two native languages and people are selecting. I mean, they have a choice. But if you look at the south as well, are there examples that the Tamilians are trying to understand, let's say, Kannada or Malayalam? That is also not happening either. So what is required is that we have to create an atmosphere of linguistic sisterhood for that matter. And to that extent, I believe the Prime Minister has been very evocatively advocating the idea of Ek Bharat Shrestha Bharat. In fact, there is a program under Ministry of Culture also where it is expected that pair of two states continue with exchange of various aspects of their culture, and people go from, let's say, Maharashtra to Odisha to understand how they cultivate rice or paddy for that matter. At the same time, sports persons come over here in Maharashtra and try to understand how we play kabaddi or various kinds of things. In the same spirit, linguistic training is also a significant part of that. I believe post-independence, there was no emphasis on making people realize that no matter what language we speak, our languages, basically, I'll give you the example that the proverbs and sayings in most of the Indian languages are same. They connote a similar meaning. This is because our thinking is the same. So this brouhaha over languages and some kind of a parochial approach towards that is certainly not called for. Let us not play politics around that. Let us understand that people need to be told about speaking, preserving, cultivating their own mother tongue, made with Tamil, made with Marathi, made with Gujarati. And as you would certainly appreciate that this government, for the first time, has emphasized on even higher education in your mother tongue. Now, engineering and medical education will be available to our Tamil friends in Tamil language as well. And government is providing every support for that. Insofar as the funds are concerned, I believe it is very legitimate that the national education policy is implemented in letter and spirit. And not just education, but various other departments also link the disbursal of funds to their performance. Because people have elected a particular government at the center on the basis of their manifesto. And it is their duty to implement that manifesto. And we are trying to convince our friends from Tamil Nadu. I mean, there is absolutely no question of being anti-Tamil or anti-South or anything of that kind. My sincere appeal and request and expectation is that the friends from Tamil Nadu and their well-wishers also do not unnecessarily create an issue out of this language issue. There absolutely is no tug of war. Every language is important. Every language is an Indian language insofar as indigenous languages are concerned. One-upmanship or any kind of an allegation mongering, I believe, is just uncalled for.
Sisterhood of languages is a beautiful expression, and I'm entirely with Vinayji on this. I think this is the spirit of our national movement. This is the spirit of India. Now, the question is, has the BJP government actually contributed to it? Let me ask a few questions. Vinayji says, we are trying to convince our Tamil brothers. Lovely, sir. Then this is not the way to convince. The way to convince would be to go to Tamil Nadu, have a meeting with them to say I'm withholding grants and then I'm trying to convince you. Is that convincing? I thought it's called coercion. Number two, you said that Sanskrit has been taught everywhere. So Sanskrit is taught properly. Please respond to the following question. Is it not true that the original three-language formula for Hindi state said preferably a South Indian language? Was it not a national consensus? Has any North Indian state done so? I do remember looking at documents which said, I think Telugu was prescribed for Haryana. Tamil was prescribed for you. Now just think of it. If Uttar Pradesh was teaching Tamil, do you imagine Mr. Stalin would oppose a word of Hindi being taught in Tamil Nadu? People in Tamil Nadu feel that, look, this is an imposition that's happening on us. So is it not true that Sanskrit teaching is done primarily to avoid this? Okay, you don't want to teach Tamil. In Bihar, why can you not teach Bengali? It's next door to them. It's so close to them. Why is that not being taught? So what the South Indian states are saying is, look, you people have virtually a one language policy for yourself because you can't teach English. You are just doing Hindi. So for you, it's Hindi only. And you're forcing me to learn three languages. Now we should have a fair and honest response to that before we go and start preaching them. Politics, yes, Mr. Sahasrabuddhe is right. He's in politics. I'm in politics. Mr. Stalin is in politics. Unfortunately, Mr. Ravi is also in politics. I mean, so before we say Mr. Stalin is doing politics, Mr. Stalin's job is to do politics. But is the governor's job to do this kind of petty politics? The governor walks out of the assembly from his own address, coming up with some pretext that national anthem was not played at this particular point and that particular point. Is that the way? And governor says this government's language policy is wrong. That is costing Tamil people jobs. I mean, what a ridiculous thing. And Mr. Sahasrabuddhe says that this government is taking mother tongue seriously. I would like to believe you. I would, if that was to be true, irrespective of all my differences with Mr. Modi's government, with Mr. Sahasrabuddhe's party, I would stand up and salute the government that does so. But look at the record. Mr. Sahasrabuddhe, just one simple question. In 2014, BJP comes to power. We are now 11 years from there. Please tell me, in the last 11 years, has the number of students who learn in any Indian language, Hindi, Bengali, Marathi, Tamil, any Indian language, has that gone up or has come down? That would be a simple test of how serious you are about mother tongue, about Indian languages. My own reading is, notwithstanding all the public noise, the BJP has no political will, just like so many other parties of this country. Talking about nationalism is fine. Doing something on languages, and especially taking on the hegemony of the English language, is beyond BJP's political capacity, because of which
Sahasrabuddhe sir, would you
English
like to
is
add
spread
something?
all over. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Yadav is making one sweeping statement after the other, and therefore, at the same time, he has transgressed also. I mean, we are not here to discuss the conduct of the governor of Tamil Nadu. That is a different political issue. And the governor not reading the entire text which was provided to him by the assembly or by the government of the day is not something happening for the first time. There are umpteen number of examples that have happened in the past also, where governors have refused to toe the line of whether that is wrong or right. That's a different question. But it is not that something revolutionary that has happened in India. I mean, this kind of tussle has all along been there for several decades together. So I don't think I require to comment on that. But he made a sweeping statement, and in a way, he had alleged that the government of India is not serious about teaching in mother tongues. I must tell him that not just, I mean, earlier, only at the Banaras Hindu University, you were able to undertake education in engineering in Hindi. Now there are many universities. I can cite one university, for example, which is Atal Bihari Vajpayee Hindi University in Bhopal. They teach medicine and try to teach engineering also. In fact, they have created all the syllabi and everything. The All India Council for Technical Education has, in fact, created an app. The app helps you translate the English or Hindi material in any Indian language, and that has been immensely popular as well. So attempts are happening. See, this is about change in the mindset also. The colonial hangover which is there, I'm sure Mr. Yadav would appreciate this. And to do away with that hangover will take at least a decade or so, maybe even more. And you cannot force people to learn engineering or medicine in their mother tongue. We can just appeal, and it's a process of cultivating public mind, public opinion. And to that end, I think we have done number of things. Our Prime Minister himself, let me give you an example, that whenever the Prime Minister even addresses foreign delegates, he does it in Hindi. Had he been from any other province, I mean, even in Gujarati, if he does it, I think there should not be any objection to that. And you know what has happened? Our people in Moscow, for example, in Moscow, there is a university and where Hindi is being taught. Those people are so very happy because now they get the opportunity of translating from Hindi to Russian, which earlier was denied to them because all our prime minister used to speak in English. So that is the symbol of our commitment to our indigenous languages, including Hindi. I mean, why one should be against Hindi at all? And we don't mind people speaking in their own mother tongues, even abroad. There are facilities which are available for translation and everything. And therefore, I think simply putting on question marks time and again and becoming a doubting Thomas perennially doesn't take us to any extent in a more academic kind of and objectively discussed issue. So I would suggest that let us refrain from politics around that. Our commitment is unquestionable. Of course, it's a long-term project. There are many things which we require to do. We appreciate that, and we are doing it as well.
Mr. Yadav, you just mentioned about English dominance and English hegemony. Right now, you just mentioned under this formula. Sir, but right now, English is an aspirational language and it has become really important in terms of like getting job opportunities. So would you like to comment on that? Why did you like use that word?
I think there's something I've said so many times. I'm tired of saying so. But let me say it one more time, which is educated Indians fail to make an elementary distinction. And I would urge you never to fail to make this distinction ever again in your life. The difference between learning a language and learning the world through a language. That is to say, that English language should be learned. Obviously, no one can have an objection against that. English is our window to what is available in the world. And increasingly, it's a language which has a larger global footprint than it had 70 years ago. So why should I oppose it? I'm speaking to you in English.
Yeah.
But to teach children history, geography, mathematics, and science through English
As a medium, you mean, right?
is a medium of instruction, which is the current national passion. It is pedagogical barbarity. Please, you are a researcher, young person. Please take 1 month and find me one article written by one expert anywhere in the world that advocates that a child should be sent to school and in class 1 taught in a language which is foreign, as foreign to the child as English is for 98% of Indian children. This is nothing less than pedagogical barbarity. Someone has to stop it. Unfortunately, this country has no political will, including this government. I heard Mr. Sahasrabuddhe carefully. There are nice cosmetic things and there are substantive things. Cosmetic things is about the Prime Minister giving his speech. I'm so happy that he gives his speeches in Hindi, because initially he tried to do that in English. And as an Indian, it was such a cringeworthy moment for me to look at my Prime Minister fumbling in a language, in a foreign language, which is not his own language. He's not comfortable with that language. So I'm so much happy that he speaks Hindi now. And I would be equally happy if he spoke Gujarati in the UN. But my simple question to Mr. Sahasrabuddhe is, these tiny cosmetic things you can do in one place, two places. For me, the simple test is this. Please tell me if it's an unfair test, or please tell me if I'm wrong in assessing the test. In the last 11 years, has the number of children who get their education through any Indian language, through their mother tongue, has that number increased? Has that number decreased? That is a real substantive check. This is like the GDP figure. GDP figure cannot be falsified by creating two nice buildings. So yes, your one university doing it in Hindi is nice. Yes, there are universities that do it in Kannada, Tamil, and so on is nice. But the simple test is, has this government at all done anything which has produced outcomes? And the simple outcome would be the number of students who actually study in their mother tongue. And my claim is, sir, that in the last 10 years, the speed of children shifting from this mother tongue to this pedagogical cognitive barbarity of English medium instruction. And on that, I'm sure you agree with me. This is not, and before we romanticize all these things, please remember that in most of rural India, where these so-called English medium schools are springing up, the child does not understand English. Parents obviously do not understand English. And I bet teachers do not understand English. And we carry out this joke called English medium instruction. Has the BJP government in the last 11 years reduced it, or has it gone up? I'm willing to bet it has gone up. Should that not be a test, Vinay?
Vinay sir, so NEP definitely advocates teaching in mother tongue from primary to secondary, and in fact in higher education it advocates that education should be imparted in mother tongue. But there has been concern over availability of good teachers who can teach in mother tongue, and also in the it will take some time to change the mindset of people as well to come forward.
May I interject at this moment just to remind you that there's absolutely nothing in what NEP is saying this time. This is exactly what Kothari Commission said in 1964. This is exactly the first education policy. This is the second education policy. This is then the revised second education policy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, on paper, we have always said the right things. Unfortunately, in reality, we have done exactly the opposite. And unfortunately, that's exactly what is happening under the NEP.
So, Sahasrabuddhe sir, what should be done to make it a success on the ground, like in reality?
Yeah, now I think I must switch over to Hindi because I can explain it in a more effective manner. Because let me tell you, ये जो लैंग्वेज को लेकर विषय है ना, और योगेंद्र जी को अगर वो खुले मन से सोचेंगे तो इसको मानेंगे कि इसमें जो एक प्रतिष्ठा के सवाल को जोड़ा जाता है जनमानस में, होना नहीं चाहिए मगर जोड़ा जाता है, अंग्रेजी बोलने वालों को आप थोड़ा ज्यादा महत्व देते हैं, हिंदी बोलने वालों की ओर थोड़ा अलग पद्धति से आप देखते हैं। तो ये जो तरतम भाव है, ये जो कंपैरिजन है, अननेसेसरी कंपैरिजन है, ये जो एक स्टेटस सिंबल बनाया गया है अंग्रेजी बोलने को, इसको खारिज करना चाहिए। इज नॉट द गवर्नमेंट डूइंग द सेम by creating an atmosphere, by emphasizing on, I mean, if you have decided to deny all the credit to this government, fine, it's a political call, you can certainly do that. But the government is doing, creating an atmosphere where speaking in your mother tongue, you are not supposed to feel anything shy about it, any inferiority complex about it. यही तो इरादा है। और इसीलिए आपने कहा कि ज्यादा संख्या बढ़ी है या नहीं, इसके लिए एक एम्पिरिकल रिसर्च करना पड़ेगा। मैं इसका ऐसे ही जवाब नहीं दे पाऊंगा, बट आई एम श्योर द एटमॉस्फियर इज प्रोड्यूसिंग रिजल्ट्स व्हिच आर वेरी एनकरेजिंग रिजल्ट्स। कई सारी टेक्स्ट बुक्स अभी अपनी अपनी भाषाओं में है, उसका कंटेंट भी देसी है, उसकी भाषा भी देसी है, उसके पीछे की जो विचारधारा है वो भी देसी है। तो मैं मानता हूं कि जो स्वदेशी का एक एलिमेंट होना चाहिए था, जो स्वाधीनता संग्राम से लेकर महात्मा गांधी जी से लेकर सभी ने जिसको संजोया है, हमारे अंदर निर्माण करने की कोशिश की है, दैट इज व्हाट दिस गवर्नमेंट इज डूइंग, व्हिच वाज अ प्रोजेक्ट आई मीन इग्नोर्ड बाय द प्रीवियस गवर्नमेंट्स ऑल अलोंग। हमें ये पता है, और इसलिए इंग्लिश इज बीइंग ट्रीटेड लाइक a language which is more dear to the South Indians, which also is not true. English is attached or associated with your status symbol, and that is why people in Maharashtra, for example, हम कई बार चर्चा करते हैं कि मराठी लोगों को मराठी भाषा में बोलने में लज्जा क्यों महसूस होनी चाहिए, मगर हो रही है। कई बार हमें उदाहरण दिखाई देते हैं। तो ये जो एक मानसिकता है, इसका परिवर्तन सरकार कोई ऑर्डिनेंस लगा के थोड़ा ही ना कर सकती है। इट्स ए लॉन्ग टर्म प्रोजेक्ट, उसके लिए समय लगेगा, पेशेंस लगेगा, कोशिश करनी पड़ेगी, और वही तो हम कर रहे हैं। अभी आज उसके ऊपर ही सवाल या निशान खड़ा करके राजनीतिक दिशा की ओर चर्चा को ले जाएंगे तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं?
मुझे खुशी है कि विनय जी, ये जो औपनिवेशिक मानसिकता है, आपने बिल्कुल ठीक कहा और मैं एकदम सहमत हूं इस बात से। और मैं आपको अगर लगता हो कि मैं बीजेपी की हर बात का विरोध करूंगा क्योंकि मोदी सरकार की कोई नीति है, मैं आपको याद दिलाऊंगा, द प्रिंट में मैंने एक लेख लिखा था। जब एनईपी पॉलिसी आई थी, जब इसको अटैक किया गया था, मैंने बीजेपी सरकार की एनईपी पॉलिसी के ड्राफ्ट को डिफेंड करते हुए प्रिंट में लेख लिखा था।
Yes.
लेकिन वास्तव में व्यवहार ब्यौरा आप निकाल के जरूर भेजिएगा विनय जी को। तो ये नहीं है कि मैं वो करता हूं कि कोई जो बात मोदी सरकार ने कही है गलत है, नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है। सही बात को सही कहना चाहिए, और इसीलिए मैं पूरी सही बात कहता हूं कि ये स्वदेशी जो है, ये सिर्फ पन्नी है। इस पन्नी के अंदर जो लपेट के माल दिया जा रहा है वो टोटल विदेशी माल है। इस पे मुझे ऐतराज है। अगर हम भारतीय भाषाओं, अगर हम ये औपनिवेशीकरण करना चाहते हैं, औपनिवेशिक मानसिकता से मुक्त करना चाहते हैं, तो उसकी पहली शर्त होगी भारतीय भाषाओं में सखापन, बहनापा, सिस्टरहुड उनमें पैदा करना। और दुर्भाग्यवश भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ने पिछले कई सालों में ये भारतीय भाषाओं में दुराव को बढ़ाया है। ये जो आप कह रहे हैं, आप बार-बार कह रहे हैं कि हम आपने तुरंत कहा कि बच्चों को देखिए, हम जबरदस्ती तो मातृभाषा में नहीं पढ़ा सकते, जबरदस्ती नहीं कर सकते, बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने। लेकिन ये जबरदस्ती पे तमिलनाडु के साथ क्यों कर रहे हैं भाई आप? जबरदस्ती करके इसका नतीजा क्या हो रहा है कि आज भारतीय जनता पार्टी की जो भाषा नीति है, उसे भारतीय भाषा की नीति के रूप में नहीं देखा जाता, उसे देशज भाषा की नीति के रूप में नहीं देखा जा रहा, उसे केवल और केवल हिंदी को लादने की नीति के रूप में देखा जा रहा है, जो बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, देश के लिए दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। इससे बाकी भाषाओं में इससे हिंदी में और बाकी भारतीय भाषाओं में दुराव पैदा हो रहा है। और एक हिंदी भाषी होने के नाते मैं तो कहता हूं, खुल के कहता हूं कि ये हिंदी भाषा दिवस नामक ढोंग और पाखंड बंद कर देना चाहिए इस देश में। ये जो लोग उछल-उछल के दावा करते हैं कि हिंदी राष्ट्रभाषा है, इस देश की कोई राष्ट्रभाषा नहीं है, संविधान कभी इसको स्वीकार नहीं करता। तो दरअसल जो व्यवहार में हो रहा है, कागज में एनईपी में जो बातें लिखी हैं वो सही हैं, मैंने उसको डिफेंड किया है। लेकिन जो व्यवहार में हो रहा है, उसमें भारतीय भाषाओं और खास तौर पे दक्षिण भारत की भाषाओं के बीच में दुराव बढ़ रहा है। एक सांसद सदस्य लोकसभा में उठ के बोलते हैं, संस्कृत तमिल से पुरानी। पहली बात तो है नहीं। और दूसरी अगर है तो क्या लोकसभा वो जगह है जिसके बारे में आपको ये बात करनी चाहिए? आप दुराव पैदा कर रहे हैं भारतीय भाषाओं, और ये जो औपनिवेशिक मानसिकता से मुक्ति पाने का जो तरीका है, वो ये नहीं है कि किसी एक भारतीय भाषा को ऊपर उठाया जाए। औपनिवेशिक भाषा से मुक्ति, औपनिवेशिक संस्कृति से मुक्ति पाने का जो काम है, वो जैसा आपने खुद कहा, और मैं आपकी कई बातों से सहमत हूं, कि सिर्फ भाषा ही नहीं, उसके पीछे जो विचार है औपनिवेशिक, लेकिन वो लंबी चर्चा हो जाएगी। मुझे लगता है कि इस
ठीक है।
देश में सबसे ज्यादा औपनिवेशिक विचार का वाहक यदि कोई है तो राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ। Nothing is more colonial mindset than that of RSS, but that's a different discussion altogether.
सहस्त्रबुद्धे सर, आपको उस पे कुछ कहना है? वुड यू लाइक टू से समथिंग ऑन
नहीं
दिस?
नहीं, ऑफ कोर्स आई हैव टू से मेनी थिंग्स, मगर मैं मतलब क्या है कि मैं एक एजेंडे की ओर जा रहा हूँ, एक अनुशासन प्रिय व्यक्ति होने के नाते, और मान्यवर तो बहुत सारे विषयों को स्पर्श कर रहे हैं जो सारे चर्चा के विषय नहीं हो सकते। उन्होंने जाते जाते एक सिक्सर लगाने की कोशिश की और संघ को ही कटघरे में खड़ा किया। आई थिंक देयर कैन नॉट बी एनी untrue statement, more untrue than what he had said, that Sangha is in fact mirrors the colonial mindset. I think it is a very ridiculous statement, but that apart, let me come to the points which he has made. मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ कि देखिए, तमिलनाडु पर कोई थोपने की, मुझे बताइए स्टालिन महोदय ने ये कब कहा कि हम हिंदी की जगह कन्नड़ा सीखेंगे, हम हिंदी की जगह और कोई भाषा सीखेंगे? ऐसा तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं। So if he is coming out with acceptance to the three language formula in a different format, even that could be a welcome argument, but he is only harping on Tamil, Tamil and Tamil, and we are not against Tamil, but what happens to the nationally acceptable policy which was endorsed by many in Tamil Nadu also? सुब्रमण्यम भारती जैसे जो कवि है, जिन्होंने कभी इस तरीके की पैरोकियल मानसिकता से कुछ काम नहीं किया, तो आपको इसको समझना चाहिए। अगर आप हमें राजनीतिक प्रिज्म से देखते हैं, तो आपने उस महोदय को भी राजनीतिक, उनकी जो कुल मिलाकर शतरंजबाजी है, उसको आपने नजरअंदाज नहीं करना चाहिए। मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं, आपने उल्लेख किया राष्ट्रभाषा है या नहीं, बात तो सही है, मगर महात्मा गांधी जी ने जो राष्ट्रभाषा प्रचारिणी सभा का काम किया, वो तमिलनाडु में बहुत सशक्त रूप में हुआ। और श्रीलंका में आप जाइए, श्रीलंका में तमिलनाडु से भी अधिक हिंदी के प्रति एक ममत्व हमें दिखाई देता है, हिंदी सीखने की लोगों की भावना है, और हिंदी को थोपना वगैरह का विषय नहीं है। एक लिंक लैंग्वेज के रूप में, इट मे नॉट बी अ नेशनल लैंग्वेज ऑफिशियली, आई अंडरस्टैंड, बट इट हैज सर्व्ड द पर्पस ऑफ ए लिंक लैंग्वेज। ये भी बात बिल्कुल सही है। तो ऐसी स्थिति में कोई किसी के ऊपर थोपने की कोशिश नहीं है। हम केवल जो राष्ट्र ने स्वीकार की हुई राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति है, उसके आलोक में तमिलनाडु से प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं, आग्रह कर रहे हैं, और उसकी जो कानूनन रचना है उसमें जो उनको सरकारी सहायता, वित्तीय सहायता मिलता है, उसका संबंध हमेशा होता है, परफॉर्मेंस लिंक्ड ही होता है हमारे यहाँ। आप चाहे ये जो एम्प्लॉयमेंट गारंटी स्कीम है उसके नियमों शर्तों का पालन नहीं करेंगे और फिर आप उसका धन जो है वो हमें मिले इसकी अपेक्षा करेंगे, ये कैसे होगा? So what is true for employment guarantee scheme is also equally true for the national education policy. So I think let us not unnecessarily create new controversies over that. We are all for respecting every other Indian language, including Tamil. और इसलिए उसमें कोई संदेह नहीं है। हम कोई संस्कृत और तमिल के बीच में युद्ध नहीं करना चाहते, या उसके बीच कोई मतलब कौन ऊंचा कौन बड़ा, इस चर्चा में भी हमें कोई रुचि नहीं है। हर भाषा का और हर भाषाई समुदाय का हमारा अपना महत्व है, और इन्हीं भाषाओं के कारण, भाषा भगिनियों के कारण ये भारत माता बनी हुई है, इसमें हमारा पूरा यकीन है। इसीलिए मदर टंग में शिक्षा का विषय हमने पॉलिटिकल एजेंडे पर पहली बार लाया। इतना तो क्रेडिट दीजिए मान्यवर। इसके पहले बताइए मुझे किस गवर्नमेंट ने मदर टंग में एजुकेशन की बात कही थी? ट्राई टू बी लार्ज हार्टेड मिस्टर योगेंद्र।
जस्ट टू थिंग्स सर, ये कोठारी कमीशन कब बना था? 1964।
It was never implemented, sir. It was never talked about, sir.
So इम्प्लीमेंटेशन आपका भी देख लेंगे सर, हो जाएगा तो मैंने कहा मैं सैल्यूट कर दूंगा जिस दिन आप इस देश में भारतीय भाषा मदर टंग में पढ़ने वाले बच्चों की संख्या 1% बढ़ा देंगे, 1% भी बढ़ा देंगे, मैं खड़ा होकर सैल्यूट करूंगा आपको। तब तक तो इंतजार करने दीजिए। और प्रार्थना और अपील इतने सुंदर शब्द हैं, आप कीजिए ना प्रार्थना और अपील। क्यों उनका 2000 करोड़ रुपया रोक के बैठे हुए हैं? अपील कीजिए, प्रार्थना कीजिए, तमिल में जाके उनसे बात कीजिए। तो मान जाएंगे। लेकिन ये तो मतलब अगर कोई मेरे कनपटी पे बंदूक रख के मुझे कहे मैं आपसे प्रार्थना कर रहा हूं, तो मुझे प्रार्थना जैसी नहीं लगेगी। आप भी इतना तो समझते हैं राजनीति, ये ना किया जाए। प्लीज रिलीज द ग्रांट विच इज ड्यू टू तमिलनाडु गवर्नमेंट. Please do not make anything, even three language formula, a condition for that, because you know very well that for the last 70 years, Tamil Nadu, in fact, from 90s, last 55 years, Tamil Nadu has not accepted. So you are saying, unless you change your 55-year-old policy accepted by all the parties in the state so far, we will not give you grant. That's unfair. Please, I mean, I know you cannot take decision on this show. May I just request you to please go and make a call to your education minister to say, please release the grant first, then appeal, then प्रार्थना. अपील और प्रार्थना का मतलब तभी है जब यहाँ से बंदूक हट जाए. ये मेरी आपसे प्रार्थना है और अपील.
Sir, इससे हटके there is one question which will be my concluding question also to you. So, educationists in India right now are saying that this entire matter has been politicized unnecessarily, and we should focus on one thing, which is like increasing the learning levels, learning outcomes of students. The recent ASAR report, 2024 reports, however, shows that it has increased, but still, sir, I'll give you a figure here. Only 27.1% students, class third students in India, can read class second level of text. So we are not talking about it. We are more focusing on like which language you should teach and which language you should not teach. So I will ask both of you to just give a suggestion how we should take care of that also first. Yeah. Sahasrabuddhe sir, would you like to say?
Well, of course, I mean, the silver line is that the percentage of people who could be referred to as learning outcomes के जो भी श्रेणी बनी है उसमें वो और अधिक आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. इट्स सर्टेनली ए वेलकम थिंग, जो इसके पहले नहीं था. इसको भी ध्यान में रखना चाहिए और ये हो रहा है, धीरे धीरे हो रहा है. आई डोंट नो, असेर रिपोर्ट काफी वर्षों से वो रिपोर्ट प्रकाशित करते रहते हैं, उसकी चर्चा भी होती रहती है, सही है. मगर मैं मानता हूं कि इसमें शिक्षक और शिक्षक की प्रेरणा और शिक्षक का ट्रेनिंग, इसमें सबसे अधिक बल देने वाली जो राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति है उसकी भी एक भूमिका है. अभी शिक्षकों के बारे में जो एक नया दृष्टिकोण अपनाया गया है, शिक्षक होना ये सबसे लास्ट ऑप्शन हुआ करता था, वो स्थिति बदलने की बात उसमें कही गई है. मैं मानता हूं कि ऑल दीज फैक्टर्स आर सर्टेनली गोइंग टू कंट्रीब्यूट एंड वी विल बी now seeing more progress insofar as learning outcomes are concerned. It is very understandable that this is a matter of concern, and it has been a matter of concern for decades together. So now the change has started happening post-COVID. There were many challenges. Even today, the challenges are not completely evaporated. But still, I believe we are making a progress slowly but certainly.
Yadav sir, to you.
I agree that this actually is a very important issue. And my own sense is that this should take precedence over any two language, three language, one language debate. The fact is that we are unable to teach any language to the child. Forget three languages or two languages. The fact is what you cited. I'll just go one step further. The basic data is that class 5 students, those who are studying in standard 5, they cannot read standard 2 textbook paragraph in their own mother tongue. This is true of Uttar Pradesh. This is true of Tamil Nadu. This is true of most other states, except Kerala and Himachal would be a bit of exceptions. But by and large, this is true. What we are dealing with is a massive failure of our education system. And in this, Vinayji is absolutely right to say that no one government can be blamed. This was the case earlier too. The learning outcomes have been very, very poor. They dipped to a dangerous level in the COVID years. And the latest report shows a recovery from those COVID levels, which is a very welcome change and development, which every Indian should celebrate, irrespective of political affiliations. The real issue is, even after all that post-COVID recovery that we have made, the fact is that we are unable to teach even one language properly to children. The report also shows that there is no, I mean, people, politicians in Tamil Nadu have claimed that because we teach only two languages, we teach them well. Unfortunately, the report shows no, that's not the case. the level of learning for Tamil students in Tamil Nadu is no better than the level of learning of Kannada in Karnataka. The level of learning of English in Tamil Nadu is no better than that of any other neighboring state. So our priority should be, yes, learning outcomes. The second, and to my mind, if you were to rank it, I would rank this thing number one, which is there is a massive exodus from government schools to private schools. Not because people suddenly have more money, but because people have realized that education is the only hope for securing some decent life for their children. And they are willing to put their hard-earned money. In my village, people are spending 1,500 rupees, 2,000 rupees per month on a child. And I know the condition of those households who are doing so. So there is currently a massive exodus from government schools. It started before Modi government. It has continued under Modi government. Nothing has changed. For me, if you ask me, my top priority would be how to restore how to bring children back to government schools. They came back during COVID years. They've gone back now to private schools. How to bring children back to government schools, especially because those who come study in government schools are usually poor and disadvantaged children. Number two, how to improve learning outcomes in every subject. And then let us debate this 2-language, 3-language, because all that is on paper. Till you can teach even one language, what are we debating? So I completely agree. And possibly on that sober note, we can conclude our discussion. Because on that,
Thank you so much, both of you, for the insight. Thanks a lot for joining the program.
I can compliment Mr. Yadav for this language of democracy, which he has now finally accepted, and also seen a point that we are making a progress. It may be a little progress though, but still. Thank you.
It's a post-COVID progress, post-COVID recovery. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.